Hello.
Hello.
How you
Hello,
all doing?
everybody. All
Good
right.
morning to you.
Good.
How is everybody doing?
Doing
Good for
good.
this rainy Saturday.
I know we're here in St. Louis in the Midwest, right in the middle of the US, and it is the perfect day to be clinging to some sheets, right?
Mm. Some sheets, a blanket, a
I know.
comforter.
Big bowl of oatmeal.
Yes, yes.
I just want to say thank you so much. I know we are focusing on the fact that April is National Volunteer Month, and I am excited to have some amazing, beautiful people who have dedicated their lives pretty much to making sure that our youth are positioned for greatness, as well as making a difference in our community. And I'm so excited to have members of Big Brother, Big Sister of Eastern Missouri here with me. We're going to do a roundtable in regards to who's all here with us in just a moment, but I want to welcome all of our listeners to Conversations in the Nick of Time. I am your host, Nikki Roach, and you know how we get down on this platform. We talk about leadership excellence and leadership accidents. And today, I think we have excellence and we have some accidents, because if you're not volunteering, shame on you. And by the end of this segment, hopefully we would have convinced you why it's so important. I want to thank Sparkman Pathway to Careers and also KSTL 690 AM for their sponsorship and trusting us with this platform. I want to thank each and every one of you in your respective places for giving us your hands, your ears, your heart, all of that to hang out with us today. So, as I mentioned, we have reps from Big Brother, Big Sister of Eastern Missouri, starting with Miss Ericka Sanders, who is the volunteer recruitment manager of Big Brother, Big Sister. And then we have Percy Baldwin, who some of you may be familiar with. We had an amazing time right before the holidays, I believe. Was it almost 2 years now? Or a year and a
about
half?
2 years ago. Yeah, about 2 years. Yeah.
Wow.
Wow, that time went by so fast. But we had an amazing time talking about just his personal journey and experience, and looking forward to that. And then we have Jackie Hamilton, who is a big with Big Brother, Big Sister, and she's gonna share. I love this dynamic, and want to shout out Linda Robinson for setting everything up. And we were able to kind of juggle some things on our end to get it in, because I'm just passionate about the work that you all do. And I've been a big myself at one point, because of my father was also a big. So I get how you pay it forward and why it's so important. I'm gonna start off with Ericka Sanders. How are you this morning?
I am so great this morning. I was a little sleepy, but the sleep is out of my eyes and I'm ready.
I know now it's like exciting, right? Like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm ready to share.
Yeah.
So yeah, just tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do. I understand you're rallying and keeping your fingers on the pulse with the volunteers, but tell us a little about yourself.
Yeah, so as far as my time at Big Brothers Big Sisters, I've been with the agency for 7 years, 7 years as of March, and I love being a part of the agency. It has shown me how very vital it is to have another supportive person in a child's life. It doesn't have to be something that that is a daunting task. It can be fun. It can enrich your life and show you new perspectives. But it's really about enriching that child's life and just giving them new opportunity, new perspective, challenging them in a way that makes them feel loved and supported. So it's almost like just folding in another family member, if you will. It's a family member that they have to get to know, but we have to do that sometimes in our own family with extended cousins and cousins.
And even siblings sometimes these days.
Yeah. So, you take that time, you get to know them, you get to walk with them through life. And hopefully what comes out is a trusting relationship that is able to endure for some years. So I'm on the front side of it, more so getting people to just find out what this is about and talking to them about what the process will look like, what the experience will look like, and seeing if they want to join on, and also giving people information so they can be advocates for us.
Wonderful, wonderful. And then Miss Jackie, you find yourself serving as a big. How long
Right.
have you been a big?
So 2017, I didn't even realize it was that long, but yeah, so 4 years now, yeah.
Okay, and what was it that drew you into this? Because I'll tell you, we talk about what? Oh my God, I don't have the time. Oh my gosh, I don't have the finances to take on another person. I'm trying to
Right.
feed myself. So what made you just like kind of switch gears?
So for me, Nikki, I had started phasing off of a couple of boards, and I talked to some colleagues and said, I still want to give back because I work in a philanthropic world and I'm used to giving, but I didn't want to just give financially. So a friend who's a big, Lydia Padilla, I give her shout out. She was telling me about her. She's been a big on the board forever. And she was like, you should look into it. It's not that time consuming, and just do it. So I was like, okay, let me try it. I don't have kids. So it was really pretty amazing once I made the decision and say, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to make the time.
Okay.
I'm in a good place. I want to give back and get some child to experience some different things as well.
Yeah, and when you say you like, okay, I'm gonna make the decision, I'll go ahead and what was the hesitancy initially?
Time.
Okay.
Just time. And just, me being responsible for a child. I don't have kids. So I was like, this will be interesting. But once I got past that, you make time for what you want to do. And so it's a way of giving back. So I said, okay, I'm going to do it. And of course, I love Big Brothers, Big Sisters. So I was like, okay, let's try it, and it's working. I'm loving it.
Wonderful. Now I'm going to come back because I want to hear about experiences, but I'm going to pull in Percy. Percy, you're a seasoned vet when it comes to Big Brother, Big Sister. So you bring just a whole different perspective and male perspective.
Yeah.
Which is something that I know Linda and I in our conversations have been very, very intentional about the reach out to Black men specifically.
Yes.
So what is it that sustains your efforts to just be rock solid with your commitment to Big Brother, Big Sister?
Well, when we talked, a couple of years, and we talked all that time, and I was telling you about all my past experience. And I think last time we talked, I was a relationship specialist. And in that time, they moved me over, and now I'm on the enrollment side. Okay. So I get to see the side where the parents are, putting the kids, trying to put them in the program. So I get to relate that experience with it and stay part-time. And
juggle it.
but I guess I was talking to someone about it, and I was saying every time this is my 5th kid, and every time I
really,
I have a 10-year-old, 11-year-old now.
Wow.
Okay, is this someone we talked about the bike because he just was like
right? That's the one. That's the one, right? That we had. I had put him in, and he got picked to get the bike. So yeah.
I remember.
So he turned 11 the month before last. So he's 11.
Wow.
And I was telling somebody after each one, I said, well, this is it for me. Then I go, no. It's something that keeps pulling you back. You go like, I can still do it. And I tease his mother now saying, do you want to trade him in for a younger guy? Because I'm not gonna be running around the block. She said, no.
So you're telling me mom has even like you don't have an option, right?
She said, I asked for somebody like you, and you ain't going nowhere. I said, okay. I just want to know. I said, cause I'm not dribbling the basketball, and I'm not doing. I say, now they're retired. So, but that keeps you coming back. And I was telling some of the moms of some of the open houses that the parents are important, because a lady told me the other day, she said, I don't want you guys to think I'm just trying to pawn my kids off on anybody. Mm-hmm. And I said, no, you're not. I said, you are an important part of the whole relationship. Right. I said, because you took the step that you saw that your kid needed somebody.
Yes,
Absolutely.
And I said so I salute you.
that's
And
right.
so that's what I was telling some ladies. I said, relationship with the mom is sometimes just important as your relationship with your little. So yeah.
It
So
is.
so now I'm back with you, Nikki.
I
I
agree.
see. I know. We're almost a grown man, right?
Yeah.
Jackie, you were going to hop in and say something?
No, it's like you said, the family dynamic is so crucial, because when I was signing up, they were like, you talk to the parents, because a lot of times you can't get to the child, and you have to make sure that you and the parent are on the same page too. So they'll push and be like, did you respond back to Miss Jackie? So I feel like family now with my little family. So yeah,
Mhm.
it's like an extended family level.
Wonderful. Now, you had mentioned, Percy, that um, you're retired, and I love the dynamics of this team here, because we have the individual who's actually helping with the volunteers and getting them all set up, but we have a seasoned volunteer, but also one who's internal facing, and then
Right.
we
Yeah.
have someone who is newer to the process. And so the point of view is very interesting to me, especially when it comes down to being retired. I think this is almost a blessing, because to someone who is looking to fill their time, or like seniors who are just possibly wanting some company.
Right. That's
Mhm.
Well, that's always been when I try to talk to people, and I kept saying, like, even if you got kids, you can still volunteer, because they have big, things that are going on now that they didn't have when I was first started. They have like big couples, big families.
Yeah, I
yeah.
want to get
So
into that. Yes.
I mean, it's a bunch of options now, that
Yeah.
you could take with the kids. Because I used to tell friends of mine, they go, well, "I got kids." I said, "Well, it don't matter. You can still take the kid, with you, when you do certain things, or
Yeah.
things like that." So that's always been, I can say, there was really like not like now no excuse. I mean,
Yeah.
So true.
there's a whole bunch of different options now that you can look at.
Yeah, and I
And
know even for me, it was so interesting years ago. It was like you want the single emerging leaders to come, and it was kind of as if like, okay, not a sense of obligation, but it's like, yeah, we should be doing this.
Yeah.
But I love the shift and the pivot that Big Brother Big Sister has taken, because why not immerse another child into family structure, and
mhm.
to experience
That's
that whole dynamic, whether
yeah.
it is a seasoned grandparents, or an actual established family, and for them to get, because I realize some of the young boys and girls, this is life changing
Mhm.
experience, just to have the attention.
Yes.
And so, applauding um, all of you all for stepping up and doing your part of what this all entails. But Ericka, go ahead. You were going to say something.
I was just going to say, it expands. That's why when I'm talking to volunteers about the experience, it spans from a college student all the way up. And I have some people that the very first question they ask is, "Oh, am I too old?" And I said, "There's no such thing as
Oh,
too old for the program," because uh, everyone has a different level of experience
mhm.
that they're able to bring. If you are a younger college student, you have a college experience, you have post-secondary education experience that you
Yes.
can talk to this young person about. If you're right in the middle of starting your career and you're in your 20s, 30s, then you have that life experience to talk about and share with a young person, and talk about what they want to look at when they're thinking about their careers. If you're, seasoned like Percy and like myself, because I'm a big sister in the program too, then
And an employee. Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
then you have, your family life to talk about. You have your family to connect to.
Yes.
My little
Yes.
sister has gotten to know my youngest daughter in a
Hmm.
special way, and they have their own relationship.
Yeah.
So it brings so many different points, but it doesn't, that's what I love about the program is at every point you are vital, and at every point your view is valuable.
Yeah,
Right.
I love that. Oh,
And
go ahead.
Nikki, I want to share too, where you shared why it's life-changing for the bigs, for the littles, it's for us too.
Explain
Because
that.
we are exposed. We think we're exposing them to these new adventures. They're exposing us to so much more. I mean, I'm learning so much from my little. It's like, so what is that? And she'll tell me. And it's like Ericka said, you're expanding your family dynamics because now she's texting and whatever to my goddaughters and stuff. So sometimes she's not texting me, but I know she's okay because she's texting them. So it's just another family unit, which is critical, which Big Brothers is doing an excellent job with this.
Wonderful. Now, if I can get each of you to just think about a myth that you've heard or you've had to dispel because people, they're like, again, back to like, I hear you, but I don't know if this is for me, because fill in the blank. And so fill in the blank of something that, whether it was you personally or something that you hear often, and it's like, no, that's not really the case.
Well, when you were talking about something being life changing, I have to go back to my little, when I first started the program was in LA. And
Okay.
and my little Brandon, well, he ain't little no more. Brandon's 44 years old with 4 kids.
So you can
So
still talk to him?
that's why I was telling one of the guys, every couple of weeks he checks on me. He calls me.
Wow.
I still talk to his mom. And I got on Facebook during the pandemic just to keep in touch with people. And right before the holiday, I think I shared it with some of the guys at work. He did a thing on Facebook saying, 30 years ago, I met this guy when I was 11 years old, and we have been through this, and he's helped me with, talk about things. And he's just like, and I was like, I called him, I said, man, you're going to have me crying and stuff.
I know, because I'm like, wait a minute.
And that's what I was telling somebody. I said, he was 11 and like he's 40 something now. So he said,
Wow.
I've been knowing you for 30 years. And and that's what I was telling somebody about that, just you think about it, the impact he had on me and the impact I have on him. And,
Yes.
and like I said, and that was the first one, and it's been moving ever since. So
So one myth you bring up is this is not about checking a box, one and done. Okay, I'll hang out with you over the summer. Although I'm sure you do have programs for those who may not be able to commit as much time. However, you just dispel the myth that, no, you're not in and out. This can be a long time. I mean, that is family. 30 something years.
Yes.
Yeah,
Wow.
we like to say at Big Brothers Big Sisters, that's not a revolving door relationship, and that's what we don't want for the kids. We don't want that door to keep revolving. Percy has been, he's the epitome of an enduring and trusting relationship, and that's what we're trying to build.
Wonderful. Okay, that's great. Ericka, Jackie, a myth.
So I'm thinking when I was reaching out to folks before I was matched, because I was intentional, I wanted a teenager because I know I'm not good with them a little bit younger. I know my boundaries.
That's
but
smart.
when I was,
smart.
But when I was doing that, they were telling me, well, Jackie, if you get the teenagers, most of the time when they turn teenagers, they don't want to be bothered. And it's harder to communicate with them. But my relationship with her has proven that wrong. That's a myth. And I guess it's the way you develop the relationship, because I think now as she's getting older, we're getting even closer and we can even have deeper conversations. So that was the one thing for me. I'm like, well, should I change it? Even if I know I'm not comfortable with the 10 and 11-year-olds? And I'm like, no, I need the 13 and 14-year-olds. So that was one. And that myth was proven wrong with my relationship. So.
Okay, that's a great point, because one, I think some people will think like, oh my gosh, which Ericka, I want you to kind of unpack the process in just a moment. But oh my gosh, they're just gonna put me with somebody. But there is a vetting process. But already doing homework also is not a myth, but it is a to-do. because you were like, I'm, being honest, like this is where I can be most effective.
Right.
And that didn't deter you from being a part of it.
No.
And knowing what you wanted.
Yeah. Because I shared, I'm like, if that can't happen, I'm okay. But this is my preference.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I think a myth that, and I bust a lot of myths during my presentations and things like that. But one that just came up recently in a presentation was someone saying, "Well, I don't have experience with a child. How can I be effective? Because and that scares me." That you want to match me with a child that I don't know anything about, they don't know anything about me. And I tell people all the time, if you are thinking of this as anything more than a friendship that you're starting, you're overthinking it and you're scaring yourself. Step it back and think about, like, when you start any friendship with an adult, you can think of it like with an adult. You're getting to know them. You're asking them their likes, their dislikes. You're just getting to know this person. This is just a little person. But guess what? Little people have all the same experiences as us. They have good days. They have bad days. They can be jerks sometimes. They can be fun to be around sometimes. So the whole gamut that you experience when you're just entering into a friendship is what you're going to experience here. And don't put any more pressure on yourself than just that. Thinking of it as a starting of a friendship.
Yeah. Okay.
I love that because I use that with my little and in fundraising. I tell everybody it's sort of like dating. You're getting to know each other, baby steps, and you find out this, and then you go to the next level. So I love that. I use that in my life all the time. Yeah.
Wonderful. Now, Percy, you mentioned that you switched over to enrollment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm mistaken. Okay. Tell us about that experience that you have with the parents, because, we spend a lot of time on the volunteer, but how amped and exciting this must be for a parent to be able to show up and they're trusting an agency, but a reputable agency.
Well, now, since we're virtual, I came over right doing the virtual thing. So I did a lot of the interviews like on Zoom and things like that. But the whole thing was, to tell the parent, I always use my perspective saying, you guys are the most important thing. You let us know what you want. Like sometimes I won't say the kids don't know, but the parents are there. So those are things to look at. And on enrollment, I said the whole thing has been different. Being a big on the outside and then coming into work within the system. You see a lot of different things, and so it's like the enrollment is one of the most important things. After Eric and them get the volunteers out there, enrollment has to do the matching.
Okay.
When they do the assessment, when they interview prospective parents and the kid, that could take over 2 hours to get all the information because it's that important. And then, like Jackie would know, then they will come and talk to the volunteer and say, well, we have such and such child who likes to do certain things. Because I told him, I said, I think with the kid I have now, it's been 5 years. I said, I don't even know what the interviewer asked anymore, but I listened to those different things as far as the assessment. And that is a big part of the Big Brother, because that starts the whole process of going. So
yeah.
And you ask them to make sure that, like they tell Jackie and the rest of us big, commit at least for a year. So, so to do things like that. So yeah.
That's interesting.
So,
because you say that when I was first called and they said 2 hours, I'm like, why do a 2 hour? That's a bit of overkill, but it was so worth it. And we were like going past 2 hours and we could have talked more and it worked, so it's critical.
And so the excitement of the parent, or let me even back up from the excitement of the parent. Well, yeah, the excitement of the parent, they show up and parents can just register their child after going through that vetting and the interview, that process. Now, do they have specifics also? Which I believe I heard you say questions are asked, but parents are also on the front end identifying and communicating to you, like, here's some things I want a big to have. Is that proper?
Well, on a lot of them, they have preferences as age, maybe
Okay.
race, religion, different things like that. And a lot of them have no preference. Like, hey, just give me some,
Really?
give me somebody breathing. You look at it that way too, also. But yeah, but there's a whole thing on the enrollment side as far as preferences and the things that you're looking for in a big, like my mom. I mean, not my mom, my kid's mom. She said I was looking for somebody that was older, a little bit more mature. That could be like a guidance or things like that. So those are things, and that's why we always tell them you have a voice because it's your kid.
And that's why I'm pulling that part of into the conversation, because I think it's also important for volunteers to know that, okay, this is serious. We're not just having you randomly come in and be connected to a student.
Yeah.
Or a little, but no, we're actually doing our part to strategically and with much intentionality to get you connected.
Yeah, we like to honor those parents, and so I'm in the program twofold. My youngest daughter is a little in the program, so I'm a parent, and then I'm also a big sister in the program, and I work so threefold. But yeah,
ambassador for sure.
They make sure, like Percy and the interviewers, they make sure that the parents know, like Percy said, use your voice and your preferences will be honored. That's something to stop and think about. When they were asking me, I was kind of like that parent at first too. Like, I just want someone that's going to be nice to my child and take her out and have a good time and be able to talk to her about some things that maybe she's thinking about. But then I had to stop and think about it. At the time when she first got in the program, I did want someone that was a little bit older because she was missing my grandmother, and my grandmother had passed away, and she wanted that dynamic in her life. But then my daughter got rematched, and she got rematched with someone that was younger, and that was at the perfect time because she was just coming into her own and being able to talk a little bit more and wanting to share a little bit more and being more active. So having a younger person that she's matched with now, her big sister is Alyssa. Shouts out to Alyssa. She's super great. But Alyssa, meets her at her place where she is now. A teenager that's learning and growing and experiencing new things, and she's young enough where she can talk to her about some things that maybe she's not ready to talk to me about, but I know that she has the best intentions and the best thoughts behind what she's doing and sharing with my daughter. So I feel comfortable, and I have a great relationship with her, so we're able to talk too. So they do a great job. It is. It's truly a village. I call it matching magic. Like what they do in enrollment is truly like magic because they really take the time to read over the preferences of the bigs, the littles, and the parents to make it all come together.
This is good because like I said, go ahead, Percy.
No, I was just going to say, to piggyback off what Ericka was saying, things that I never really knew until I got in enrollment. Some days I still don't know them all. But I did hear someone say something that really makes sense. You do all the assessments, you do all the checking the boxes and the interviewing, and because nothing's going to be perfect, but you don't want to make a match that the kid gets in there and it's not a good match. And so that could be more detrimental to the kid. Something that won't last. I mean, so that, and I was saying, well, they sure ask a lot of questions, but that's the reason behind it. Because like I said, it's all about the kid in the first place, but you want the match to at least start off going that way. You don't want just to put them with anybody and then they don't work and then that's even bad. Then you got to put the kid back on the list. So when I heard him say that, I said, that makes a lot of sense, when you want to start it off that way.
Right. But Nikki, one of the things that you said to validate that this is so important is that going into it to be a big, sometimes you don't think about, dang, I'm being interviewed too. You go into it thinking they need someone to spend time with and it's a done deal. So it's interesting we talk about the age, because when I was matched with my little, the age factor came up because they wanted someone younger. But I guess after they interviewed me and they saw I was energetic and hyper as heck, that it would work. But when I had my first meeting with my little, she said something like, well, you don't act old like you are.
It's
It was
honest.
hilarious. And I'm like, well, how am I supposed to act? So it was funny, but you're right. We don't think about, we are being interviewed as well. It's not like, okay, I'll do it. Give me her file and we'll go run with it. It's a
Yeah.
really rigid process.
And I love this because, I've had a number of conversations. Like I mentioned, Percy was on a couple years ago. Linda and I have talked. This is the first time we've explored this space in regards to, and I love this because, again, it is helping to break down some of the resistance and some of the hesitation that individuals may have.
Yeah.
Understanding now that, Biggs, you are just as important, and we want to meet your need in regards to, like, whether it's lifestyle, time, interest, hobbies, all of that, to make sure, as Percy, as you mentioned, that it's a good fit. We want it to last at least a year, but oh my God, if we can get 30 plus, like you and your first little,
yes,
that's life.
That's a story.
Yes, that's life changing. Now I want to go ahead.
I was just gonna say, but what you just tacked on was just really important, because we want the volunteers to understand that although it is about the child and we're centering the child, we want you to have a good time too.
Yes.
We don't want you to come into this experience and even though it just be about the child, you feel like it's a obligation that you have to do.
Yeah.
Because I signed up and I gotta be here for this kid. No, we want you to enjoy getting together with your little. We want you to look forward to getting together with your little. So we have to consider you in this process too. So I really, like for volunteers to understand that you are considered, everyone plays a high role in this. We consider the parent, we consider the child, but you're up there too. We consider you too.
I love that. Yeah. And when we talk about, the big being a priority and, as well as the little being a priority, it's so interesting that when you bring the two together, it is not an inconvenience. That's the other thing. I know during my time of having a little, it was so interesting because I just did life and pulled her in.
Yes.
That was it. Like, it was nothing like, oh my God, I've got to figure out an activity. No, actually, it worked out better if I had somewhere to be or a meeting and she gets to observe that.
Grocery shopping.
She had all these questions. Yeah. Yeah. Even me going to visit a senior, to where it's like, okay, you carry, we're going to take over some groceries. It's like, you're doing life. Yeah. Jackie, you're nodding. Speak to that.
No, that's absolutely it. Because sometimes I'll go and I'm like, so Shell, what do you want to do today? I don't know. Like, okay, we're going to do my Saturday running. And we will, because we live in different areas. So sometimes we'll go to different grocery stores and she's just like, okay. And she loves it. Sometimes you don't want a planned day. It's like today's Saturday. You just want a lazy Saturday, but we're going to be together. Sometimes we'll say, we're going to the art museum and we know, but sometimes the best days are when we have no idea what we're going to do. We're just driving around. It's like, let's stop and go in there, So absolutely. And flexibility.
Then, and then back to what you said earlier about, this is not just about the little getting exposed and having new experiences, but the big, because now it forces you, because I know even for me, just as an adult in this region, I'm like, okay, there's a part of the summer that I try to be a tourist in my own town. And it is still so much I've not done. Why not you just incorporate your little.
Absolutely.
Percy, we already know this is not an inconvenience.
Well,
after 30 years.
Right.
Well, I was going to put on that when you talk about Mythbusters, and I was talking to some guys, and they were saying, well, what do you do all the time? I said, you don't do anything. I said, if you got to go to the store, take them with you. I said, my little, well, not the one I got now, but the one I had before him, I take him over mom's house. He worked up leaves. He sits in the kitchen with my
Well,
mom.
he's happy about it,
And,
right?
right, and he talks,
Yes.
and I'll be like, I'll be sitting outside, and he'll be in the house with my mom, and and so that's what I was saying. And I used to tell guys it don't cost you. You don't have to go to Dave and Buster's all the
No,
time, man.
Yeah,
You don't have
that's
to
it's
spend
not about the money.
right. You don't have to spend a lot of money. And
Mm-mm.
when I was on the other side, talking to some of the bigs, I kept saying, don't even start off spending money.
Right.
Start off doing
That's
working
that's
around the
wise
house
advice.
things, right? Because Dave and Buster's every week can be expensive. So those things
woo.
you got to look at. So yeah, so that's another myth
Okay.
on what do you do, and those are things you can do.
And that's going back to Ericka when you said it's a friendship, developing a friendship. And so when you think about a friend, you may meet for a cup of coffee, but you're not going out, we're not ready to get catch a flight to Chicago,
Right,
Right.
right.
And
so it's like scale it down.
And you
Yeah.
know what? Some bigs have come back to share that they thought they had to do the big things and they thought they had to have those experiences. And the most memorable times that they've had have been the ones that they didn't spend any money, that they just spent time with their little. Those are the times when they ask their little, look back and what did you enjoy the most? It was, oh, when we went to the park, or oh, when we went to hang out over here.
Yes.
It
They don't
wasn't
even,
those big times. They don't even
wow,
remember the big times.
that is so interesting. So
Yeah.
interesting.
It's just time. They just want you to spend time and give them attention.
Yeah. And undivided attention.
Yes.
It's about you, but
Yeah.
but again, you're also benefiting. It's
Yeah.
a
It is. It's a win-win.
yeah.
Mhm.
Now, Ericka, if you can walk us through just some of the processes in regards to someone raises their hand, they're listening right now, heart is being tugged. Yes, come on over to the other side.
Yes.
Come on.
So,
Yes, you can do it.
right. What's the process?
Yeah, so if you are feeling like right now, you know what, this is something that I think I want to do, you would start by visiting our website to go to the online application, which is a pretty straightforward application. We're just asking for some basic information. We're going to get that information. We also ask for some references because we like to do character references and check your background and things like that. You're going to go through a background check. You're going to go through an interview. As they already said, the interviews, they do get personal, and we do tell people up front that the interviews are very personal in nature, because we're asking about your likes, your dislikes. We're asking about your past, your present, maybe even asking you to look a bit into your future to see, what type of time you realistically have available. And once we've checked all of those things and we've done your character references and you've been officially accepted into the program, that's when Percy and his enrollment team, they go to work, because that's when they are making the matching happen. And they're looking at those assessments of the volunteers. They're looking at the assessments of the littles and their parents, and they're trying to see where you match up in similarities in the things that you like to do and similarities in your interests. We're not looking to have a carbon copy of you, but we're looking for where, your personality might meet this person's personality, and you all would have a good time enjoying each other's company. And then once we've identified someone that we think makes a great match for you, we call you before, so you don't even have to worry about just, being straight up put in front of this person. No, we give you a little background information about that person first. We call you, talk to you about that person. We also call that little and their parent and give them some background about you and talk to them a little bit about you. And if both of you all say that it sounds like a great match, that's when we bring you all together to meet each other for the first time. And that's called the big meeting. And right now we're doing them virtually because it's still COVID and everything. And so, you'll get together just like we are right now on a Zoom call with their parent and the little and the big, and you all will do some icebreakers. You'll get to know each other. You'll talk a little bit. You'll go over the program guidelines, but you'll also exchange your contact information so you all can reach out to each other when, you know, you're ready to start connecting and talking to each other. And the best part of it, or what I think are one of the best parts of it, is that you're not in the process alone, because you do have a relationship specialist that's there to kind of help you through, you know, talking. And if you need any tips, any tools, any coaching or anything like that, that's your number one contact from the agency to check in on you, your little, and their parent to make sure everyone's having a good time. So you just don't feel like you're in this alone. If you do have some questions about how do I do this? My little is kind of shy and they're not talking to me yet. You have someone to talk to about that. So, you know, you're building relationship all the way through the process.
Okay. Jackie, were you going to hop in?
No, I just said she's right. The relationship, the trust, all of that, because I know with my match, when we were new, I would be like afraid to keep texting and try to say, let's meet. And my relationship manager finally said, Jackie, don't take it personally. They may not have access right away. It's not like you're stalking them. Keep reaching out. Because at first I'm like, I don't want the mom thinking I'm stalking them, but I want to see her, but if they're not answering, I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to wait. And then that was not the right direction. Okay. And so when you start figuring it out, the relationship manager helped me with that, because I thought, I'm like, I don't want to keep being pushy, but I do want to see her, but she's not responding for a reason is what I'm thinking. So maybe she doesn't want to, but her phone was broken. You know what I mean? So there was a multitude of things. And so I just had to learn, don't take things personally. And the relationship managers have heard every story. So go to them when I'm like, so this is happening. Is it me? Should I? And they be like, no, try this. So that process is really important.
Jackie, that is so great that you brought that up, because you do kind of think like, okay, now what happens? I've gone through this process, but what next? You know, like, and then is it just on me? But as Ericka mentioned, no, there is someone there even building the relationship. So it's not that we're signed up, connected, and then, okay, you figure it out. No.
You're not alone.
Okay. That is wonderful. Now, what's that turnaround process? Someone applies, and then what's the timeline?
So it'll vary. So I don't want to land on just a certain time. And I'm going to tell you the reason why it varies is because some people come in and they have specific, solid requests in their preferences. You know, they want a child this age. They want them to like this, they want that. And again, we try to honor those preferences. So we really take it and do our due diligence in trying to make sure we match you up the best we possibly can. So I'd say from the starting point of you filling out an application to the time that you're being matched. Right now, because we are in COVID, it's moving a little bit faster. And so I would say, you know, it could be anywhere from 3 weeks to a month. And that could, again, depend on how quick we're getting back your references. So, you know, you play a part in this, you know, making sure that your references reach back out to us and answer the questionnaires that we're sending out, making sure that we get all your background information in and that we filled out all of your paperwork. So all of that can prolong the process. But if you're a person that like quickly turns your stuff in and get your stuff in turned around, we're going to work just as fast as you, but we are going to make sure that we're making the best match. So we don't push quality, we push quality rather out than trying to do it in a speedy way.
Okay.
Totally. Hey, Nikki, and one thing I learned, like I said, with being on the enrollment side, you know, like what Ericka was saying, all that, you know, 1, 2, 3, but you got to remember too, the pool of volunteers at that time, you know, who's out there, you know, if you're looking for something specific, like you're looking for African-American men, you might not, you know, so those are things you got to look at too, you know, because the volunteer pool, if that's not there, then the wait. And I learned something from enrollment, not to say, you know, well, you'll be on there such and such a, you know, amount of time, because it can vary, but those are factors you have to look at also. The volunteers, Eric and them are trying to fill those volunteer slots, but if they don't get them all, then you have children over here looking, and that could be that can take time also there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And what's interesting, like we're here in April. Yes, we're talking about volunteering, and the importance around it. However, students are about to get out of school, and we've been doing a whole bunch of stuff, actually life for a little over a year now, virtually. How has that impacted? Because now we're moving into the summer when, the kids, the littles have more time for some of them. And but what's happening now that we're still confronted with challenges of COVID? How has that process been working for if I can get the bigs? Also, Ericka weigh in too.
Okay, so COVID sucks. Let me just say that COVID sucks big time because we're used to being out and together, and you can't. And so everybody is zoomed out, but we have done some Zoom. We've done like scavenger hunts on them, but it's not the same. Yeah. I mean, and it's just and you can't catch the vibe and the mood that somebody's in via Zoom. Like when I'm with my little, she can get in my car and I'm like, you didn't have a good morning? But when she gets on Zoom, it's like, hi, Jackie, so you don't see that. So you're missing that one-on-one. Okay. We've been trying, but it's been tough. She just had a birthday in March. So I've been sending cards, doing little texts, and we'll do that kind of stuff. But I went by there for her birthday, March 18th, and I just dropped a bag off. I texted, like, are you going to be home? And she's like, actually, I am. So I went, and we actually physically saw each other. That's been a year because we haven't been doing anything but Zoom. And so I saw her and she was like, oh my God. And we looked at each other like, and it was so good. And then after that visit, it's like we kept texting more because you miss it. And I'm like, I'm totally vaccinated now. Things are changing. So I'm hoping things are going to start changing a little bit. We can sit outside and stuff, but it was cold. So you're not going to go sit outside. You're not. So now that it's warming up, it's going to change. But did I say COVID sucks? So, but we're making the best of it.
Good.
And that's how I have been doing. I mean, we've been matched 5 years, but the first few years we were very active. But this last year it's been rough. And I stopped by there. I used to go by there like once a month, drop off school supplies, or if it was his birthday to leave something. And he would yell, he'd be up on the balcony and we yell down at each other and things like that. And so that part, but I always said that we had a good foundation. So once this is over with, I think we're just gonna go right back
up.
That makes the difference.
Yeah.
That's the difference. Yeah. And going back to establishing the friendship.
Yeah.
Because you actually have something to build on. It's not, you're not strangers to each other.
Yeah. And we have to, again, with this being National Volunteer Month, shouts out to the volunteers that are starting their relationships during COVID right now, because they are starting out virtually. We stopped all in-person matches and all new matches are starting virtually. So they're getting to know their little by Zoom calls, by text messages, by emails, different things that they're trying to do. And then they're also incorporating an activity inside of that. So it is a little bit more challenging. And I share the same experience as Jackie and Percy with my little sister. And it's funny because I might be the seasoned person as far as work, but I'm the newest as far as being matched. I've only been matched with my little sister for 2 years now. So it's been hard. It's been challenging. We were used to getting out, hanging out. She's younger, so she wants to be on the go. And, the telephone don't work for her. I send her a text message, how you doing? Good. What you doing? Nothing. And so I'm getting these one-word answers back from her. Yes. And I know she misses us getting out. So I'm looking forward to, like Jackie said, the weather breaking so that we can get out and get into, whether it's just going to the park or something like that, but whether we can get back in person, seeing each other. And these bigs that have taken on this commitment now, well, one of the things that I will say is that stripping away the activity leaves for you all to connect and really get a chance to talk and get to know each other.
That
So
is
when
so
you
true.
are able to incorporate the activity back in, you hopefully have a foundation now where I've talked to this person, I've got to know this person a little bit. So now we're just adding the fun layer onto it.
Okay.
The bonus,
Now,
yes.
Now, Ericka, what's the call that you have right now in regards to volunteers? What's the need?
We need volunteers. We need men, we need men,
Okay.
but we also need women. But did I say we need men? Yeah, we have kids on the waiting list. We have close to 500 kids on the waiting list.
Wow.
So we are still very much in need of volunteers to step up and show up for youth in your community. And I always tell people the other thing to think about when you're thinking about connecting with a place like Big Brothers Big Sisters is these young people know what it is that they are signing up for with their parents. So they've already made the decision that they want to have another trusting person a part of their lives. So you're not going and trying to pull teeth or bring them into something that they don't want to be a part of. Because if at any time when Percy or the enrollment staff would be interviewing the littles and their parents, if the littles say they don't want to do it, we stop right there. We don't pull teeth or twist their arms or anything like that. They have to want to be a part of this program. So you have children right now that want to have another trusting and caring adult to be a part of their lives. So we are definitely looking for more men and women to step up. We're looking for couples. We're looking for families to step up because like Percy said in the beginning, we have all these new ways of being matched. You don't have to just be matched one-on-one. You can get your family involved in it as a couple. You all can do it together. So there are lots of new ways to be involved.
Okay, wonderful. And we are talking about showing up for our youth campaign at Big Brother Big Sister of Eastern Missouri. For more information, you can go to BBBSEMO.org. That is BBBSEMO.org. Of course, we'll post this information as you are watching it. That way you can hurry along over and fill out that application. And then, before we wrap up, I always do the point where I have guests provide some insight, some wisdom, some gems in the nick of time. And so for each of you, just for a moment, think about one word that comes to mind. Once you made the decision, what one word comes to you? Like, now that I've made the decision, it could be fulfilled. It could be, I don't know, like one word that comes, it could be joy. What one word and why? And whoever wants to hop in and start, go right ahead.
I would say commitment.
Okay.
And like you say, even though the COVID was here, to keep going. I could say, I'd look at it because I was telling them in the beginning. Now, you guys know I got an older mother. I am not going anywhere that I don't need to be, and then got to go back to her house. So I told my little mom that, and she said, "Don't worry, he don't want to go nowhere either." I said, "See, I knew we were a good match." So that, that's it. My commitment to them, and they have and they commit to me. She is a good mother. She's always helping and has encouragement. So I would say the word would be commitment.
I love that.
So I think mine's along the same, Percy, consistency.
Okay.
It's, you've got to let them know that you're there, and you're not going to show up 1 month and 6 months later, show up again. Consistency. Even like through COVID, we can't physically see each other, but you've got to keep in contact somehow. So being consistent with our relationship.
Okay, wonderful.
And I guess mine would be grateful, because you have to come in with a sense of gratitude on all of these sides. We're grateful for the volunteers to step up and be a part of these children's lives, but we're also, Percy said it best, these parents are our heroes because they are selfless enough to put their child first and understand that it is not it's not challenging my role to have another adult support my child and expose my child to new things. And so a lot of gratitude goes to them being selfless and putting that child forward. And then also grateful to that child to say that they're open enough to experience new things, even if they're shy, even if it's, going to take a little bit to get to know this person, that everybody's just open and ready to form a new relationship and see what it brings into their lives.
Yes.
That is wonderful. Commitment, consistency, and grateful. Consistency, commitment, and grateful. Just want that to sink in for the listeners. It's worth it. It is worth the time. It is worth the commitment.
Yes.
It is worth being consistent. We've dispelled some myths. We've talked about the whole process of being enrolled, and also the commitment from the littles and their families, which I'm really happy that we were able to highlight and bring that perspective in this time, because again, it is a commitment and you do want to be consistent and arrive at this place of gratefulness, but it takes, actually, I think, knowing that all this amazing legwork is being done behind the scene to make sure you arrive at these places. I applaud each of you for the sacrifice, but I almost don't want to use that word, because the way you're right, the way you all have so presented it today, it is actually the big is the winner, like you said, Jackie.
It's sort of like a trifecta, you guys, and I'll make an infomercial for BBBSE. So it's like the little, the big, the region, and the organization. We're helping the organization live out its mission. So it's a trifecta because we're all benefiting from this.
Yeah.
Not just the little. I want to let folks know the big gets so much, me being a big gets so much out of the relationship.
That's wonderful. And one last time, Eric, if you want to tell people how to get in touch with you, if they have any questions.
Yeah, sure. You can reach me at E Sanders, that's ESANDERS at BBBSEMO.org. That's my email. Or you can call me directly at 314-615-1041. I'd love to talk to you about the experience. Just if you just have any questions about it. Asking questions doesn't commit you to anything. It just opens you up to what the experience looks like and having a conversation. So just join me in a conversation.
Wonderful. I thank you. Thank you so much, Jackie Hamilton. I thank you for your commitment.
Thank you, Nikki.
Percy Baldwin, thank you so much for your dual commitment, right? Long-lasting dual commitment.
Yes.
Sanders, thank you for your triple approach. I am just so excited that we've had a chance to walk this journey together. Again, it's National Volunteer Month, but we know, as you've just heard, this is a lifetime commitment that can be transformative, not just for the little, but also for the big. Who doesn't want to sign up to be a part of that?
Right.
Bombard Ericka's email.
Yes.
Bombard. I want to thank each and every one of you on the panel for joining us here on Conversations in the Nick of Time. Also, all of our listeners, thank you so much. Once again, you could be doing anything else, but you've decided to spend a little time with us, and we say thank you. Don't forget, you already have everything you need to be successful, and it's a success as you define it, not as the world. Just tap into it. Want to thank Sparkman Pathway to Careers and KSTL 690 AM for your love and support and your trust for having us on this platform. Until next time, show up, share out, and let God do the rest. Thank you.
All right.
All right.